Today I speak in depth with the Italian football legend Pierluigi Casiraghi. A striker known for his strength, power, agility, and spectacular goals. A fan favorite everywhere he went, from his hometown club of Monza to Italian giants Juventus and Lazio, and finally to the English Premier League with Chelsea. Winner of 2 UEFA Cups, 2 Coppa Italia, 1 UEFA Super Cup, and a runners-up medal from the 1994 FIFA World Cup. In an incredibly rare English-speaking interview, Pierluigi opens up about his journey in football.
Pierluigi Casiraghi, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. I know you don't give many English-speaking interviews, so I really do appreciate the exclusive today. First of all, how are you and your family?
Hi, Eugene. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to see you again. We are all fine, and it's very nice to see this football jersey behind you.
Yes, of course. I've waited a long time to speak to you like this, so it's great to finally share your story with everyone today. You have had an incredible career, there is no doubt. Now, unfortunately, it was cut short due to injury, that tragic injury when you played with Chelsea. It's part of your story, so we will talk about it later on. But your achievements in the game are some of the achievements that many of us have only ever dreamed of. So let's go all the way back to the start and tell me, where did your initial love, your first love for football come from, and who were your childhood heroes?
The passion for football was passed on to me by my father. He played football at an amateur level. So I started touching the ball as soon as I was born. He was an AC Milan fan, and naturally I became one too. I remember that I had a poster in my bedroom next to my bed, and it was Mark Atley. Do you remember Eugene, Mark Atley? He was my idol. I like him a lot because he was a striker, very, very strong at hitting the ball, and I dreamed of becoming the new Mark Atley.
And of course, your first professional contract was with your hometown club of Monza. You signed in 1985, where you stayed for 4 years until 1989, coming to the attention then of the Turin giants Juventus. Now, as a childhood AC Milan fan, be honest, what was your initial reaction to Juventus wanting to sign you as a player?
In that period, there were 2 talented young football players that all the teams wanted them. It was me and Marco Simone. And the most important teams in Italy at the time were AC Milan and Juventus. And so they made an agreement between them. Marco Simone went to Milan and I went to Juventus. Of course, I was a Milan fan, but honestly, I was very, very happy with the transfer to Juventus, because I realized my dream of playing in Serie A, and I did it in one of the strongest Italian and European teams.
You were signed by Giovanni Trapattoni to replace Toto Schillaci, am I right? Now, as a proud Irishman, I remember watching Italian 90 as a child and the quarterfinal against Italy. And I was praying that Toto Schillaci would be replaced by anybody. But it didn't happen. And we won't talk about that because it still hurts. But you did spend 4 years in Turin, winning 2 UEFA Cups and a Coppa Italia. Now, you were part of an incredible Juventus squad. They had so many attacking options. What are your memories of that team and that time in your career?
Yes, it's true. We were a strong team. We won the UEFA Cup twice and the Italian Cup also. Unfortunately, in those years there was AC Milan with Van Basten, Gullit, Baresi, Maldini, a lot of great players, and it was very difficult to win the championship. But I was very lucky enough to play with great strike, like you said. I want to say, especially three players: Schillaci, Gianluca Vialli, and Roberto Baggio. Three unbelievable players, very, very strong players.
And then, of course, in 1993, you signed for Lazio. Now, this beautiful match-worn shirt behind me, which you very kindly signed for me, treasured piece in my collection. So thank you very much for that. You formed an incredible partnership with Giuseppe Signori. Now, I don't think there's any argument that these were the best years of your career. Talk to me about your time at Lazio and your partnership with Beppe Signori.
After 4 wonderful years at Juventus, I went to play at Lazio, Rome. It was a good choice for me because I lived my best years as a footballer. It was a very strong team, very strong players. Nesta, Winter, Di Matteo, Gascoigne. Oh, I love Gazza. And as you said, Signori. Signori was one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of Italian football. He won the top scorers 3 times, and we had a great feeling on the pitch and outside of the pitch because Beppe is a very nice guy. So it was a pleasure to play with him.
It really was a fantastic partnership, and I think it was a pattern throughout your career. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you always seem to have a great partnership with, you were like the big, powerful striker, and with the smaller, more technical players, I always thought it was like a perfect mix. But while you were at Lazio, you also you played in another UEFA Cup final, cruelly denied the hat-trick of UEFA Cups in an all-Italian final against Inter Milan. Now, this was peak Brazilian Ronaldo era. Tell me, what was he like to play against?
Honestly, I don't remember that match. I've deleted it from my memory. I'm joking, of course. Inter won 3-0. Ronaldo was at his prime. He had the technique. He was very, very fast, powerful, and he scored a lot of goals. And an incredible player. I think that in the history of football, he's in the top 5 of all time.
And Italian football at that time was full of superstars. Brazilian Ronaldo was just phenomenal, appropriately nicknamed, I believe. But in the summer of '98, you did come to the English Premier League. Now, I was very excited that you were coming to the league, but unfortunately, it wasn't to sign for my team, Manchester United. But I can see the attraction to Chelsea, the Italian connection, moving to the capital. There was Gianluca Vialli, Roberto Di Matteo, yourself, Gianfranco Zola, who I know was a close personal friend also. So it was like maybe in many ways an easy move for you to make, but was it difficult to adapt to life in England? How was that for you personally, for you and your family? And also, was it always a dream to come to the English Premier League?
You know, I always loved the English football. So in 1998, I have the opportunity to move to Chelsea. There were other English clubs interested in my transfer, but I moved to Chelsea because it was a club that wanted to win the Premier League after so many years, and because there were my former teammates like Gianfranco, like Roberto Di Matteo, and of course Gianluca Vialli as a player manager. At the beginning, it wasn't easy to adapt to the pace of play that were very different from the Italian ones. For the rest, everything was great, from the stadium to the fans. It was as I expected.
When you signed for Chelsea, you actually became the most expensive player in history, 7.75 million euros. Now, I know that's kind of funny when you compare it to the crazy prices of the modern game, but did that come as an added pressure? Did you feel that at the time? Oh, and by the way, you are now the 119th most expensive player in Chelsea's history.
Oh, well, I never felt the pressure about this. I have always tried to do my job as best as I can. But, you know, it's funny. It's funny because now with £7 million, you don't buy a third league player. Never.
You scored your first and unfortunately only goal in a Chelsea shirt against Liverpool at Anfield. Now, it's one of those goals that is replayed many times for two reasons. First of all, it was a sensational goal. Beautiful ball over the top, your first touch to kill the ball and also take it around the goalkeeper, and then to finish from an acute angle with your left foot. It was a beautiful goal that really summed up your qualities as a player for me. But there's another reason why this goal is replayed many times, and that is what happened to Liverpool defender Phil Babb. Trying to get there to clear the ball off the line, didn't quite make it. Now, as you know, Phil Babb also played for the Republic of Ireland, and I thought you'd like to know that I spoke to him recently, and he's doing really well. He's actually coming out of hospital in the next couple of weeks. I'm joking. Did you speak to Phil Babb after that, or did you ever meet him since, and did it come up in conversation? No?
No, I never met him after that goal. At the time, I didn't realize that Phil Babb hit the post. But when I saw the goal again on TV, my gosh, it was terrible for him. Luckily, it wasn't hard too much, I hope.
I remember you saying that you really enjoyed celebrating that goal because you were so close to the fans. Is that because in Italy there are the athletic tracks and many stadiums the fans are pushed further away from the pitch?
Yes, I think celebrating a goal with your fans is the most beautiful thing in football because it makes you a child again. And maybe today there is too much distance between football player and their fans, not only on the pitch, but also outside of the pitch. I think that we must always remember that football exists because there are fans, and it's very important for me.
Now, unfortunately, I need to ask you this next question. I'm sure it's not something you like to revisit, but it is part of your story and your journey in football. The 8th of November, 1998, you suffered what turned out to be a career-ending injury when you clashed with West Ham goalkeeper Shaka Hislop. Now, I do remember at the time you were a doubt before the game because of illness. Is that right? Did that play any part in what happened, or was it just a freak accident?
The 8th of November 98. I ate the 8th of November. I'm joking. No, that day was a strange day, very strange day, because I didn't feel great before the warm-up. So I spoke with the doctor. The doctor told me to test for a fever. But unfortunately, the thermometer wasn't working. Very strange, it wasn't working. So he gave me a tablet for a fever, no? And I went out to warm up. After the warm up, Gianluca Vialli, it was the manager, asked me how I felt, no? But I said that I wanted to play, of course. It was my job, so it was normal. So I start to play, and then I think 20 minutes, 25 minutes, more or less, there was that crash against Sasha Islop, no? It was a normal game crash, very normal, but it wasn't anyone's fault. I think that it was just fate, only fate.
I'll never forget the your reaction when you were lying on the ground, screaming in pain. I knew it must be serious because everyone did, because you were not one of these players to lie down, pretending to be hurt, looking for a free kick. We knew instantly it was serious. Did you have the same feeling? Did you think that there's something seriously wrong here?
I knew immediately that the injury was serious. I spent 1 hour in the locker room waiting for the ambulance with my friend Gary Stacker. I thought I tore my ACL and LCL 6 months, and I'm back on the pitch. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The injury was much more serious because, in addition to the various ligaments, I completely broke the SPI nerve. After the first surgery in London, I also had complication in my other leg, spending a few days in the intensive care unit. In totally, I had 10 surgeries. Some very complicated, like the one in Vienna on the nerve, 8 hours in the operating room. In total, I spent 6 months on crutches and 1 year in Bologna in a physiotherapy center to try to recover.
So at this stage, you were working hard, all your rehabilitation, recovering from operations, trying to get strength and movement back in your knee. You're still believing that you can get your career back on track. But then Chelsea had other ideas. Can you tell me about that day when Chelsea told you they were terminating your contract?
As you said, after a few months, Chelsea wanted to terminate the contract. But economic interest mattered more than the human side. This is the rule.
So after they terminated your contract, were you still believing you could come back? And at what point did you realize, finally and unfortunately, my career is over?
I realized that it was time to stop when, after the last knee surgery, I broke my patellar tendon while going down the stair on crutches. So I said to myself, Gigi, stop.
In 2018, 20 years after that horrific injury, you did put back on a Chelsea shirt and ran out at the pitch at Stamford Bridge to play one more time. It was a Legends game, and I remember tuning into this because I had to see the fans' reaction. I had to see your reaction when you ran out onto the pitch after 20 years. Tell me, what was that moment like for you? Did it give you some kind of closure or comfort for how your career finished?
Yes, it was great to come back and play at Stamford Bridge again after 20 years. It was great to meet all teammates again, and it was great to see the stadium full of fans. Yes, incredible emotions.
It really was a beautiful moment, and I watched it with a smile on my face because I felt like you needed that, and it was beautiful to see the reaction of the fans at Legends Game 20 years after what happened. But now I want to ask you about your international career. You played 44 games for Italy, scoring 13 hugely important goals. Tell me, what did it mean for you to represent Italy and to wear that magical blue shirt?
Yes, playing for your national team is the dream of all football players. I was lucky enough to play 44 games, the World Cup in 1994 in the USA, and the European Championship in England in 1996. But when you sing the Italian anthem before the start of the match, it's the greatest satisfaction of your job. Totally.
There is another interesting statistic. I'm sure you're aware of it, or I'm sure somebody has pointed it out to you. But you have scored 3 goals in England. 2 for your country, 1 for Chelsea. All 3 goals were scored at Anfield.
Yes, it's a curious thing. When I was a kid, I used to watch video of Liverpool fans. I always liked to Anfield Stadium, the Kop, and touching the "This is Anfield" sign before going to the pitch. It's good luck. That's why I scored 3 goals at Anfield.
Now, as a football fan growing up, I'm sure you had the same dream as all of us of lifting that famous World Cup trophy with your name on the back of the shirt. It did happen, but unfortunately, it was not you wearing your shirt when it did happen. For anyone not sure what I'm talking about, explain to people, who did you swap shirts with after the 1994 World Cup final? And do you still have it? And can we possibly see it?
It's funny. When the Italy-Brazil World Cup final ended, all the players exchanged jersey, as usual. I was on the bench, so I exchanged shirt with a very young player who was on the other bench. Really, I didn't know who he was, and he was Ronaldo, not yet the phenomenon in those days. Then he became a top player, and everyone would want that shirt, like you, Eugene. I know that you wanted this shirt, but this shirt, it's mine, very, very nice. Brazil, number 20. I love it.
What a beautiful piece of memorabilia. And this was before, he was just like a hot prospect for the future. Didn't play any minutes in that World Cup. It was a bigger deal for Ronaldo to get your jersey than it was for you to get his jersey. But what a special piece, because what a career he had also. But moving on, qualification for Euro 96, you played a huge part in this qualifying round. Italy did, of course, qualify, and in the first game of the European Championships in England, you started against Russia. Italy won 2-1, and you scored both goals. Now, you almost scored a hat-trick with a beautiful back heel in the second half, I remember. It was the perfect start for you personally. But one thing, Gigi, that has remained a mystery for me since 1996. How did you not start the second game? What reason did Arrigo Sacchi give you for not starting you in the next game? Because Italy lost, and ultimately Italy went out. It cost them dearly. They went out in the group phase.
I think Arrigo Sacchi underestimated the Czech Republic, who then went to the final against Germany. So he decided to change 5-6 players who were starters in the match against Russia. It was a choice that cost us elimination. It was a pity because we were really strong. We could have won the European Championship. But I was a coach, and sometimes you can make mistakes. This is football.
Another question that I always wanted to ask you since 1996. What was it with you and Alessandro Del Piero and the famous nasal strips? Was it the climate in England? Were you having breathing difficulties?
Yeah, the famous English weather. We were cold, and the doctor gave us these nose patches. And after the games against Russia, everyone bought these patches at the pharmacy, and they become more famous than Alessandro Del Piero.
Yeah, they actually became hugely popular. I remember kids on the playground wanted to wear it when they were playing football on their lunch break. Robbie Fowler also very famously wore them for Liverpool at that time. But moving on to qualification then for Italy for France 98. Again, you played a huge part in the qualification, scoring some very important goals. Italy were blessed with a long list of Italian strikers in the 90s. Italy did qualify via the playoffs. You had to play Russia in a two-legged playoff. And of course, you scored the decisive goal, which secured qualification for the World Cup in France 1998. Now, it must have been a huge shock and disappointment when you were not picked for the final squad to go to the World Cup. Do you remember the conversation that the manager had with you when he announced that he was not bringing you to the World Cup?
Yes, I remember. Cesare Maldini, the coach, called me on the phone, and he said, "I don't know how to tell you this." I said, "No problem, coach. Tell me, easy. No problem. I can understand." I try to understand. I thought I deserved the World Cup, but a coach says to make choice. I was disappointed, really disappointed, but there was nothing I could do, nothing. So once again, this is football, and this is life.
After your playing career, you did go into management, starting, of course, at your local side, Monza, the youth team. And then you had spells at Legnano. And of course, you took the Italy under-21 team to the Beijing Olympics in 2008. Is management and coaching something that you would like to go back into?
Coaching Italy under-21 for 4 years, it was a fantastic experience. I loved working with young football players. I was lucky enough to participate in the Beijing Olympics as well. Then I coached with Gianfranco in Qatar, Birmingham, Cagliari. But now I have other projects, and coaching is not in my goals.
Football, of course, has changed so much over the years. But in your opinion, Gigi, what is the biggest positive and the biggest negative change in football since your playing days to now in the modern game?
Football has changed so much. It's constantly evolving. Some rules have changed. So many things have changed. I think modern football players are stronger physically, better technically, but football is still the most beautiful and fascinating sport in the world, sure.
You have scored a long list of spectacular and hugely important goals. But if I was to ask you for your personal favorite goal, it could be for the technique, for the importance, the occasion, or just something spectacular. What was your favorite goal? Do you have one?
My favorite goals are all the ones with the Italian national team, always, of course. Then the ones in the Lazio-Roma derby.
Attenzione però, ancora la Lazio, eccolo il cross per Casiraghi in acrobazia, rete! Che gol! Gigi Casiraghi è il 2-0 per la Lazio! Gigi Casiraghi esplode, tutta la sua rabbia repressa in questo inizio di stagione. Voleva giocare il derby, voleva segnare un gol e lo abbraccia, signori!
My favorite goal instead as beauty is the one in Lazio-Milan. I love it.
Cross di Rambaudi, si coordina Casiraghi e mette in rete. È un gol splendido. Rivediamo la prodezza dell'attaccante bianco-celeste, il cross di Rambaudi, la sua splendida...
Now, I know, of course, you keep all of your football shirts. Like me, I'm a huge collector, as you can see, and as you know. But if I was to ask you for your your three favorite football shirts, purely based on the design, the look of the football shirt, what would be your top three?
As a football shirt collector, it's very difficult. I'll try. Okay, my top three. Number 3, Italy national team 2000. Number 2, Argentina 1982. And number 1, Sampdoria 1991. The number 1 shirt in the world.
Gigi, I fell in love with Italian football in the 90s because of players like you. It was that era that graced the beautiful game with so many legendary players, so much incredible talent, and many of my favourites when I look back at my childhood favourite football players. You were my kind of player. Tough, strong, agile, great in the air. You could score with both feet and you were a true team player. Thank you for the memories and for sharing them with us here in English today. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you for your time and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Ciao.
Thank you very much, Eugene. It's a pleasure for this beautiful journey into my memories. Thank you very much. And sorry about my English. I did my best. Thank you. Bye-bye.